grammarians of grade 8, this is Asma Sayed and welcome again to a new, yes, grammar lesson. During the orientation, we have been required to revise and edit some sentences and text using our helpful shining star. Yes, do you recognize its shape? Okay, the comma. Alright, let's move to today's lesson's objective. So teacher, what are we learning today? We're going to learn the importance of the commas, okay? And we're going to focus on three main usages of it. Number one, how to separate items in a series. It means that how to separate the items to make a list. We're going to use it in compound sentences. Would someone remind me, what do you mean by compound sentences? Huh? Oh yes, we're talking about two complete simple sentences, two complete ideas connected by a joining word, such as for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So, wait a minute, they remind me of something. For, fanboys. We're talking about the fanboys here, okay? So the comma precede the fanboys in compound sentences. We're going to learn about the usages of commas in complex sentences. Okay, what do you mean by complex sentences? It means that between one complete thought, it means one simple sentence, one independent clause, a sentence can stand on its own, and another one that's non-complete, that's dependent. How can I recognize it? It usually starts with a subordinate conjunction. What do you mean by subordinate conjunction? We're talking about words like however, although, if, and so on. Alright? Let's start with learning the importance of comma. I'm hungry. Let's eat, Grandma. What? Why Grandma is speaking out? What do you think is happening here? Yes, because I say that I am hungry and I want to eat Grandma flesh and bones, as if I'm speaking to you. So what is happening now? What do we need here to fix this sentence? I guess we need to question the comma, but the doctor here says, I'm sorry, but he slipped into a comma, okay? So is the comma in a coma? Oh, what a silly pun, teacher. Let's get back to our example to fix it and wake up our comma to fix it. So we need the comma to fix this sentence. I know that you are familiar with this expression. If I'm speaking to Grandma, I'm directing my talking to her. It means that I'm addressing her. So let's eat Grandma. So the comma here stands for what? We don't write the comma while pronouncing it, but what do we do? I will try the two examples and you can notice the differences. Let's eat, Grandma. Let's eat, Grandma. What have I done here? Yes, I added the comma. But how did you recognize it from my pronunciation, my speaking? Through the pause. So the comma here stands for a pause or a break. Don't you know that punctuation saves lives? So, what is the ground rule here, teacher, before we start our lesson? You may find it helpful to remember that the comma often marks a slight pause or break in a sentence. These pauses or breaks occur at the points where the main comma rules apply. So, I need you at the same time, you should keep in mind that commas are far more often overused than underused. As a general rule, you should not use a comma unless a given comma rule applies or unless a comma is otherwise needed to help a sentence read clearly. A good rule of thumb is that when in doubt, between brackets, quotation marks, about whether to use a comma, it's often best to leave it out. Okay? So let's focus on our rules now. The importance of comma. Comma set apart, it means separate words or groups of words within a sentence. Using commas correctly helps make your meaning clear. Okay? We have established that. Now let's take this example. George, William, Joanne, Kevin, and Maria are all members of the quiz team. What? I don't understand. Do you refer to George alone? Or George William? Is the second one Joe alone or Joanne? How about Kevin? And Maria? So Maria, okay. So how many members we're talking about here? It's unclear. How can we fix it? Yes, by adding the commas, by separating the names in the list. George, William, Joanne, Kevin, and Maria are all members of the quiz team. How many members we're talking about here? 4. How do you recognize the 4 members from my talking, not from the sentence? By adding the pauses. George, William, Joanne, Kevin, and Maria are all members of the quiz team. Try to repeat it and pronounce it out loud with yourself. It's going to be very helpful with your fluency. Even try to record yourself and notice the difference you make. Okay? So let's focus on items in a series. Okay? It means how to make a list. We use commas to separate items in a series. A series is 3 or more items written one after another. Would you please elaborate, teacher? Can you give us examples with pictures? Of course I have. I'm prepared for this. When making a list, don't be a serial comma killer here, okay? Let's create our list. I'm still hungry, as you can see. Let's name out our favorite food. For example, peanut butter, M&M's, Brussels sprouts, and the fried anything. Of course, not grandma. Okay, we have learned our lesson. We're not cannibals here. We don't eat human beings. Okay, we eat food. As you can see, that people use a comma after each item they like. Okay, so let's move forward to another example, and you can tell me the confusion of not using the comma created. In the following example, he says, Schmopp's role models are their parents, William Shakespeare and Toni Morrison. Does it mean that the comma here is only used after the parents? It means that they're identifying or adding the extra information that Schmopp's parents are William Shakespeare, that's the father, and Toni Morrison, that's the mother. Oh, there's a great confusion here. We're talking about making a list. In this context, list of role models, okay? How can we fix it? Yes, Schmopp's role models are their parents, William Shakespeare and Toni Morrison. Do you notice the difference? Even the difference in our pronunciation. Here, their parents, William Shakespeare and Toni Morrison. I'm counting on my hands now. I have 3 fingers on my hand. It means 3 items in this part. Okay? Do you notice the comma? We add the comma after each single item. But teacher, how can I recognize the items? We recognize the items of the same group of the same rank. For example, we can separate between words, only words, one word. For example, on the trail, trail means route, we saw chipmunks, woodpeckers, and snakes. Chipmunks 1, woodpeckers 2, and snake. And as you can notice, the comma didn't come before the end. Why? Because we never start a line with a comma. We end with it, okay? Now, can it be more than one word? Yes. We can use the comma to separate between phrases. Can someone remind me, what do you mean by phrases? Oh, yes. Group of words without a verb. Group of words without a verb. For example, we drove along the highway, up the mountain, and into the woods to visit the nature center. Okay, so along the highway, up the mountains, and into the woods. What I have done here, I have added pauses. Okay, these phrases of the same group, they clarify the place, yes, using the preposition along, up, and into. Let's move forward. Can it separate clauses? Teacher, would you remind us what do you mean by clauses? Does any of you know? Yes, group of words using a verb. Group of words using a verb. Do you mean sentences? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because clauses can be incomplete, like in this case. Please let me know when the barbecue will begin, who will be there, and when it will be over. Okay? Now the clauses here, each clause starts with a relative pronoun, like when, who, when. But in this case, he's asking with question marks, not relative pronouns. Okay? Question words. When, who, and when. Now, how can you learn that these are clauses? Because it contains verbs. You have said that some of the clauses can be sentences. Yes. What do we call clauses that create a complete, meaningful idea? Independent clause. All of them? No. We're talking about the short ones, of course. For example, the lights dimmed, the curtain rose, and the orchestra began to play. In this case, we're adding short, simple sentences separated with a comma. Okay, so far so good. How can you identify the items? It's easy, the same group. Okay, sometimes we use a comma to separate between adjectives. When you have more than one adjective modifying a noun. What do you mean by adjectives? Adjectives of the same rank. For example, the slow, easy road is the best. In this example, the brilliant, hilarious schmuck. Okay? So, brilliant, hilarious, they are of the same rank. Means they are witty, smart, fancy, fabulous, ambitious. Wow, they have a vision. Okay? Let's see another example. Two or more adjectives before a noun. On the doorstep, she found a huge, beautiful, fragrant bouquet of flowers. Okay, what we're talking about here, we're talking about the bouquet of flowers. So, how would you describe it? What adjectives we use to describe it? Huge, beautiful, and fragrant. Okay, they are of the same rank. We're talking about the appearance of it. Okay. Now, the next one, use a clean glass measuring cup. Okay, they correspond together, clean and glass. If you use plastic, it's wrong. If you use it that's not clean or not washed up, so it's again wrong. Let's put our learning into practice. Okay, I will give you time to read the example, pause the video, try to answer the exercise on your own, then come back to check the answers. Number 1. Teacher, you haven't read the head question. Oh, yes. So I need to read the head question before I start. Add commas where needed in the following sentences, okay? Only adding the commas. Number 1. The fluffy kitten with the brown, white, and the black spots is my favorite. Now we're talking about adjectives of the same rank. So what group we're talking about here? We're talking about what color of the spots. So the first color is brown, the second color is white, and the last one after the end is black. How can I read it or pronounce it here? The fluffy kitten with the brown, white, and the black spots is my favorite. Let's move to number 2. For lunch, we had milk, tuna, sandwiches, and pears. I have been trying to hide the pauses or the breaks while reading it. This example is a bit confusing, so if you did it wrong, it's okay, because it depends on the taste of your in your food. Oh yes, here, milk, She, for lunch, we had milk, tuna sandwiches, and pears. What we're talking about? We're talking about how many items here? We're talking about what? Yes, 3 items. So, the first item is the milk. The second item is the tuna sandwiches. And of course, the dessert is the pears. Okay? I would I would never drink milk with fish. Oh, depends on the taste. Let's move to number 3. I search for the book in my locker at my house and in my mother's car. Again, we're talking about phrases. How can you spot the phrases? We're talking about places here. Yes, I searched the book in my locker, at my house, and in my mother's car. And again, as you can notice, he added the comma at the end of the line. He didn't start the line with it. Okay? Number 4. At the beach, we swam, flew kites, and built sand castles. I guess that you have noticed. Where can you put the comma? We're talking about, the activities, yes, the actions that they have done at the beach. We swam, flew kites, and built sand castles. So far, so good? Excellent. Let's move to how to use a comma in a compound sentences. Moving to the second usage of comma in compound sentences. We refer to compound sentences as 2 complete thoughts, 2 subjects and 2 verbs, okay? Connected by adjoining word, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Okay, we have established this. Let's move to the presentation. Linking 2 independent clauses with a conjunction here. Okay, what do you mean by conjunctions? Okay, what are they? They are if, and, buts, and coconuts. Okay, of course not coconuts here. If you have 2 separate sentences can stand and make meaning on its own, and you connect them together using a comma and the conjunction, this is going to be a compound sentence. Okay, do you remember if you use simple sentences is as if you're saying okay, it will make your writing more appealing. For example, I'd like to go to Six Flags, but it's my day to clean the bathroom. Okay, now what kind of sentences is it? Is it simple, compound, or complex sentence? Yes, as you can see, but that's one of the fanboys preceded with a comma. So in this case, it's a compound sentence here. Okay, can each sentence stand on its own? Yes, let's try it out. Here, I'd like to go to Six Flags. Period, full stop. It's my day to clean the bathroom. Which one is better? Is using the compound or the simple sentences separated on their own? Of course the compound sentence, because it gives you more expressive feelings. It includes the feelings inside it, okay? And refers to the exception of or the improbability of that. Okay. Compound sentences. Use a comma before and, but, for, nor, or, so, yet. When it joins independent clauses, it means 2 complete thoughts, 2 subjects, 2 verbs, okay, in a compound sentence. To avoid the overuse of simple ones, okay? For example, I'm very tired. My sister is sleepy too. Okay, these sentences refer to the same idea, tired and sleepy. I have said it already. And so the perfect conjunction, or the perfect one of the fanboys in this case, is and. Now let's move to the second 2 simple sentences. Josie's mother said she could go to the movies. Her father said she had to stay home. Now, these are two contradicting decisions, okay? So, which one of the fanboys refers to exception or contradiction? But here. So, George's mother said she could go to the movies, but her father said that she had to stay home. Let's take another example. The dog barked. I threw the ball. Come on. We use so here. Why? Because so here expresses a result. What are you doing in order as a consequence or as a result or in consequence or as a result for what have previously happened? Like the dog barked, I threw the ball. So, or as a result, in consequence, I threw the ball. Okay? So far so good. You have learned about the main usages. And you add another similar idea, but to express contradiction and exception. So to express a result or consequence. Before we practice this, I need you to keep in mind two rules. The comma is optional, okay? It means that you can add it or not when the complete thoughts are short. Example, the soda was flat, so I poured it away. Very simple ones and very short. Calvin relaxed, but Robert kept working. You can add the comma before it or you can skip it, okay? But you need to be careful for the following rule. Do not use a comma in sentences having one subject and a double verb. The comma is used only in sentences made up of two complete thoughts. It means two subjects and two verbs. For example, Dawn lay awake the stormy night and listened to the thunder crashing. There is only one subject. Who's he? Dawn. And double verb. What are they? Lay and listened. Okay? So no comma is needed. Likewise, the following exercise. Okay? So keep these two rules in mind while practicing the comma. I need you also to remind you of the anchor fanboys, okay? For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Okay? These little characters or our little coordinating conjunctions, okay? We use them to connect two complete thoughts to complete ideas, okay? Shall we move forward? Remember, you need to read the head question carefully. Add commas where necessary. If a sentence is correct, write C, okay? You know the procedure. Pause the video, take your time to answer the examples, then come back to check your answers. Number 1. Field hockey is an exciting sport, but I like soccer even better. Okay, I need to ask myself, is an exciting sport, but I like soccer even better. Now, I need to ask, told you, you need to ask yourself, how many subjects do I have? Field hockey, that's a subject. That's the verb. Here, I, that's another subject. Like, that's another verb. Two subjects, two verbs, two complete thoughts, two complete sentences can stand on their own. So, do I need to support or help my coordinate conjunction with a comma? The answer is yes. Okay? Because the word but joins two parts of compound sentences, so a comma should come before it. Let's move to number 2. Number 2 here is correct. Why? I called my friends and told them all about my trip to New York. Here, I didn't add the comma before the conjunction and. Why? Because here I have one subject, I, with two verbs, called and told. Do I have a subject here? No. So the explanation should be: the sentence has a single subject, I, and a compound verb. It is not a compound sentence, so no comma is needed before and. Number 3, the sailboat was almost hidden by the fog, yet we could see part of the mast. Do I need a comma here? How many subjects do I have? Yes. How many verbs? Yes. So do I have two complete thoughts? Yes. So I need to add the comma, and don't forget to put the comma at the end of the line, okay? Not in the beginning. So the word yet joins two parts of compound sentences, two complete thoughts. So a comma should come before it. These are extra exercises. You need to do them on your own, alone. The head question says, add commas were needed in the following sentences, okay? You know the procedure, pause the video, and then come back to check your answers. Number 1, the children must go to bed now, or they will be tired in the morning. Ask yourself, do I have two complete thoughts? Do I have two subjects and two verbs? Yes. The children, they, must go, will be. So the comma is needed before the conjunction or. Number 2, the oak tree shaded the house, but the shade kept the grass from growing. How many subjects? Yes. The oak tree, the shade. How many verbs? Shaded, kept. Two complete thoughts, so a comma is needed to help my conjunction but. Number 3, Ariel sings in the choir and Heidi plays in a band. How many subjects? 2. How many verbs? 2. Do I need a comma? You need to ask yourself that question. Of course, yes, because I have two complete thoughts, two complete ideas. Jim practiced number 4, Jim practiced the piano piece all month, for he wanted to perform well in the recital. Okay, how many subjects? Again, 2, Jim and he. How many verbs? Practiced and wanted. Okay, 2 complete thoughts, 2 simple sentences, so a comma is needed to come before my conjunction for. So far so good? That's great. We have learned that the fanboys require the help of, yes, the comma. Okay, so let's move to our second part. We're going to talk about what? Complex sentences. Okay, we're going to talk about one complete thought and another non-complete, started with a subordinate conjunction, like however, although, and if. But let's get acknowledge. Unlike the fanboys, subordinates, on the other hand, are heavyweight champion of sentences. They are words that connect two unequal things. Okay, what are they? They connect independent clauses, and as you can remember, that independent means complete thought, complete sentence, can stand on its own, can make sense. And a dependent clause, it means that it's not clear, it doesn't make sense on its own, it lacks something. All right? Subordinates make it very clear, okay, what is being prioritized in a sentence. Okay, commonly used subordinates are although, because, before, however, unless, and even though. Because subordinates are very strong, they don't need the help of a comma, but sometimes, of course, the longest or the strongest among us need a comma. So the comma comes in to help, looking for someone to help in a sentence. She finds even though. Okay, even though here is holding two sentences on its own, as you can see, one on each hand. Okay, for example, Bartholomew loves engaging in political debates, even though he usually loses. The comma here asks the subordinate if she can help, and of course we know the answer that they don't need help. Okay, they can easily hold the sentences, the two sentences on its own, because they are distributed evenly on both arms. Okay, so and the idea of needing assistance of using the comma here, in that case, when the subordinate conjunction comes between the two sentences, we don't need the comma. Okay, here in this case, she finds another subordinate trying to lift the two sentences on one arm. Okay, in this case, even though Bartholomew loves to sing, he never sings in front of others. So the comma here asks the subordinate if he needs help, and in this case he is in need for assistance, he is in need for help. But how can the comma help in this case? Look here, when we say even though Bartholomew loves to sing, he never sings in front of others. Come on, it's a chaos, we need to fix this. Come on, comma, where shall you go? How can you connect the two sentences together or separate them? So we need to create a balance. Complete sentences weigh quite a bit. Yes, the complete idea, the independent clause. When the subordinate conjunctions comes in the middle, it's in balance. Okay? Yeah. When he tries to lift it with one hand, he crashes. Okay, so where our heroine comma should go? Here, comma, think. Yes, here. Thank you, comma. So this is the end of today's lesson. I hope that you have learned all the basics here. Okay, remember, with compound sentence, we use the comma before the coordinate conjunction, before the fanboys, before they are little and minors, they need help. With the subordinate conjunctions, like however, although, before and after, we need to use the comma when they come in the beginning of the sentences. So the comma comes here before the second one, okay, before the independent clause. That's it. Thank you for listening. Can't wait to discuss all of your inquiries or your answers. Thank you. Stay safe and be cautious.